Today we're going to unbox the new GoPro Hero 11 and take a look at what's inside the box. We will briefly compare the new GoPro with the Hero 10. Since I'm sure you're interested, I also have an Osmo Action 3 here, which I will then also unbox. So we can see in comparison what the two manufacturers include in the packages. Then we will briefly compare the two cameras. But let's start by unboxing the Hero 11. GoPro has been supplying the camera in a case for a few years now, which I personally think is a good idea. This case is useful and can be used, for example, when traveling to store the camera and accessories. After opening the package, we are immediately made aware that we need to update our camera before we can use it. Inside the box, of course, is the camera and the usual accessories. Here is the usual paperwork. The accessories that are in the box include, as usual, a USB-C to USB-A cable. Here is the battery. And fortunately, it is the improved Enduro battery. I had already worried that GoPro will continue to supply the same battery. This battery is supposed to provide extended runtime and also improve performance, especially in the cold. So it prevents the camera from shutting down due to the cold. Then there is a mounting buckle, a curved adhesive mount that can be used to attach the GoPro to a helmet, and of course there is a thumb screw. Alright, now let's take a look at the camera itself. This year the camera is protected by a paper cover. Personally, I like the fact that GoPro uses as little plastic as possible. And when we turn the camera around, then we see that GoPro wants to tell us again that we definitely need to install an update before we can use the camera. I removed the protective films from the various displays and from the lens. If we compare the Hero 11 with the Hero 10, we see that nothing has really changed on the body. Both cameras look absolutely identical. The cameras are the same size and the color has also remained the same this year. If the lettering on the side did not say Hero 11 and Hero 10, then you would not be able to distinguish these two cameras from each other. You can find the best deal for the GoPro Hero 11 right now on GoPro's own website. To get the best deal possible, you need to sign up for a subscription with GoPro. Then you will receive a micro SD card in addition to the camera. It is this card here from SanDisk. Please note that you cannot use any SD card with your GoPro. The SD card must have a certain speed. You can find links to the cameras and the SD cards in the video description. Okay, I now put the SD card in and of course the battery. And then we'll charge the new GoPro. In the meantime, while the GoPro Hero 11 is charging, we unpack the new Osmo Action. The packaging of the Osmo Action is much smaller. Of course, this is also due to the fact that DJI does not include a case. When we open the packaging, we see the camera, which is also surrounded by various protective films. I have to say that I really like the design of the Action 3. We'll compare the two cameras in a moment. But first, let's take a look at what's in the box in addition to the camera. Aside from a sticker, DJI includes a protective frame with the camera. This frame can be used to mount the camera vertically, and I think it also serves as protection for the camera itself. Even though many criticize the frame and it makes the Action camera bigger and bulkier, I think it also has many advantages. For example, the GoPro has become much more susceptible to scratches since it no longer has a frame. Then there is also a rubber ring in the package. This rubber ring is mounted around the lens and of course also has a protective function. And then in the packaging there is such an adhesive mount. Unlike GoPro, this mount is not a curved mount but a flat mount. Attached to this mount is the magnetic camera mount from DJI. For me, this magnetic mount is one of the special strengths of DJI's Action camera. It was the part that I liked best about the Action 2. Then of course there is the battery here. And unlike GoPro, DJI doesn't provide a USB-C to USB-A cable with the camera, but a USB-C to USB-C charging cable. For me currently rather a disadvantage, since most of my chargers have a USB-A port. But we agree that USB-A will eventually die out. Well, let's take a closer look at this camera as well. First, I removed the various protective films here as well. And as I said, I really like the new camera from DJI. If I had to say which camera I like better in terms of design, I might even say that it's this camera from DJI. But fortunately with an Action camera, it's less about the optics of the camera itself and more about the quality of the footage. Again, I put in an SD card and the battery. And then we compare the cameras. I actually expected the Osmo Action 3 to be more or less the same size as the GoPro Hero 11. But in fact, you can see that the Osmo Action is visibly smaller after all. This is basically noticeable on every side, so even when we turn the camera in the different directions, before we compare the displays and the first shots, I still have to install a firmware update on both cameras. This is quite easy with both manufacturers. You just have to install the respective app on your smartphone in advance. However, I don't want to bore you with the update process. In the menu of the GoPro, however, I want to show you some news. The Hero 11 now starts with a new beginner mode, where hardly any settings are available. Also new is the new 8:7 format. As you may have heard, the Hero 11 has a new nearly square sensor that offers a larger field of view. This new sensor also allows for the new field of view hyperview in the 16:9 format. And then what's new is that an automatic mode has been added to the stabilization mode boost. A great innovation for shots where you don't know how jerky it will get. Here is a quick display comparison between the two cameras. Do you notice that the Action Freeze display has a completely different white balance and displays the colors completely differently here in the office? Because I'm sure you're interested, I'm going to leave the office now and take a first comparison shot. Just let me know in the comments what your first impression is. Good, it's now time to test the two Action cameras and compare them in more detail. A video with a detailed camera comparison will follow soon. However, that still needs some time. Give me a like as feedback if this video was interesting for you. There will be more tests and tutorials on the two cameras to follow. So stay tuned and see you next time.